My videos are really worth listening to. So if this is your first time here, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and please click on the like button and probably comment so that this video will be able to reach many more people who would have need for this. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about what does emotional healing really look like. What does emotional healing really look like? There's so much talk on healing, on emotional healing and healing in general, but what does healing really look like for you? What does healing really look like? The truth is this: there is really no structure to how healing goes. There's really no structure to, to what healing, what to healing. There's no structure to healing, and so there's no structure and there's no time frame. So some people could be healed instantly. Some people could take days and weeks and years to even heal, right? And to some people, it's like a cycle. They start up on the healing journey and then they get into regret and pain and anger, and then they get up again and then get into pain. So there's really no structure to this thing. The bottom line is that you get healed. That's the bottom line. Like, no matter how long it takes you, you get healed. But I'm going to show you, and you really know when you've healed. That's the thing. There's no structure, there's no time limit, there's no time frame, but you can be sure I'm healed now. And how do you know when you've healed? Is when you get to the point where you healed, when you hit love. When you get to the point where there is, instead of hurt and pain and all that, there is what you find is compassion and love, and then and kindness, and then you know that you and joy too, and joy, right? I always like to talk about joy, and then you know that you have really hit healing. Like, I've got to the point where I'm truly healed in this case, in this matter. So there is no structure to healing, there is no time frame to healing. We just know we've healed when we have gotten to the point where, instead of anger and pain and resentment to come out of our heart, what we get is joy and love and compassion and kindness. And then we know that, yeah, I'm really healed here. So even though there is no structure to healing and there is no time frame to healing, but there are some key components, key pointers to healing. And I'm going to talk to you today about the key pointers to healing, right? And that's what I want to share with you. So the first pointer that you're in your journey of healing is awareness. It's awareness. You can't truly heal without awareness. Like, you can't really be on the journey of healing without awareness. That's how I want to say it. You can't really be on the journey of healing without awareness. Like, you need to be aware that there is something here that needs to be healed. You really need to be aware that something is broken here. At times it's not the brokenness in you that you're aware of. Sometimes it's a brokenness in an area of your life. It could be the brokenness in your relationship, in your marriage, in your finances, in your health. It's something in the world that points you back to, like, why is this brokenness? There needs to be an awareness. It's like there's a light bulb that comes up within you and goes like, hey, there's something wrong here that needs to be fixed, that needs to be worked on. And that's the journey of healing. That's where that's what draws you into the journey of healing. That's awareness is what draws us into the journey of healing. Because the truth is this: we don't really know ourselves. To a large extent, we really don't know ourselves. We really don't know what's in our unconscious mind. We really don't know what's in our subconscious mind to a large extent. We're not completely aware of these things. And so healing draws you into that space where you begin to reflect. And it's in that place of introspection and reflection that you get to the place and you go like, I think I need to deal with something here. I think there's something in my past that needs to be dealt with. I think there is something in my there's a trauma somewhere that needs to be healed. I think there's something here. It's that awareness that draws us in. And I like how this whole thing works. How God has created this whole thing to work. I believe that this is one thing I believe. When you begin to ask, there's a saying that says, ask and it shall be given. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened. I truly believe that when you begin to seek for answers and ask questions and seek for answers, you would always find the answers that you were seeking for. You would always find the answers to questions that you were asking. And so when we get into that place of self-reflection and that place of introspection and self-reflection and begin to ask, what exactly is wrong? What is wrong? Why is this not working? Why am I here? Why, when we get into that place of not Not asking questions to blame others, but going into ourselves to say, why, what is the problem? Why am I stuck here? Why is this not happening? Why is this not working as it should? When we start asking those questions, we will find the answers to what we're looking for. So the first place of healing is awareness. Okay, awareness draws us into the journey of healing, right? Number two pointer is this. Number two, the first one is awareness. The second pointer to healing is forgiveness. It's forgiveness. The truth is this: you can't truly heal without forgiveness. You can't truly heal without forgiveness, because when you don't heal, you leave the wound open. You leave the wound open. And the only way you can move forward, the only way you can heal, the only way you can truly heal, right? You can truly heal and complete the cycle of healing is forgiveness. And forgiveness is in two ways. It could be either you giving the forgiveness or you receiving forgiveness. So it's either you're giving forgiveness to those who's hurt you, those who's caused you pain, those who's done all those things to you, or even yourself, or forgiving yourself, or it's either you're receiving forgiveness from those who you're giving out forgiveness, right? Or you're receiving forgiveness. So you're receiving forgiveness. It's in that place of repenting. It's in that place of saying, oh, I'm so sorry, like going and asking for forgiveness, right? So that is you giving, that's you receiving forgiveness from others. So there is no complete healing without forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself, you receiving forgiveness, or you giving out forgiveness to those who's hurt you. So number two is forgiveness. The third thing on the healing journey that helps your healing journey complete, right? The third things that help your healing journey complete is something which is not so common, but it's something I talk about as deliverance. As deliverance. Now, this is how I put this thing. I know not everyone talks about this in the way that I really talk about it in healing journey, but this is how I put it. You know, when you have an unhealed wound, a physical wound, you have a cut, you have a wound, and this wound has not been completely healed, like this wound is opened and is, uncared for, there's something common that's going to happen to this wound. It's that this wound would have germs fester on this wounds. That's what's going to happen, right? So if you have a physical wound and this wound is uncared for, unattended to, chances are that this wound will be infected. Chances are that you're going to have a infection on your wound because it's not taken care of, right? So it's the same thing with emotional and spiritual wounds. When we have wounds, right, and those wounds are not taken care of, those wounds are not adequately taken care of, I would like to say it this way: we have unclean spirits fester on those wounds because those wounds have not been taken care of, right? So let's say there is an offense, someone hurt you, someone did something to you, and you go like, oh, someone did something to me. Now you could decide to deal with that offense and let it go, or you could decide to let that offense linger on for a long time, right? And when it lingers on for a long time, something else could begin to fester in it. We begin to have things like unclean spirits. I call them unclean spirits. Now we begin to have things like envy and shame and fear, and other things begin to fester. Or addictions, addictions, suicidal thoughts, different things. They begin to fester on those wounds that started up as just little as an offense, right? So at times, this offense is traumas, things that happened to us when we're growing up. It could be abandonment, rejection, that's happened to us when we're much younger as children. And these things were not taken care of at the time when it happened. And what happens as we've grown up to be adults is that those wounds are now being festered with other unclean spirits. Sometimes it's shame, it's fear, it's unworthiness, it's guilt. These things just fester on wounds, right? And so deliverance for me is a huge part of healing. It's a huge part of healing that many times we take for granted. And what deliverance actually means is you standing in your authority and ejecting the unclean spirit that has festered there, right? Is you taking care, dealing with the unclean spirit that has festered on those wounds that weren't taken care of, right? So that's what deliverance is. It's a huge concept of deliverance, especially when you come from the Christian faith like I do, and when we have authority over we have been granted authority over unclean spirits. You could actually use your authority as a believer to check out unclean spirits, right? To check out unclean spirits. And that's how that's how I could explain this. I hope you get it. So it's you using your authority as a believer to check out the unclean spirits. So when you begin to find out that when you come to the place of awareness that there is something wrong in here, right? And you've done the forgiveness part, like you've forgiven who needs to be forgiven, you've given out forgiveness to those who needs to be, needs to be forgiven, or right, who you've hurt or offended to. And the next part is that's deliverance. Is a key for me, is a key part to healing. It's a huge part to healing. When you get to the place of deliverance, where you go like, okay, I have an authority over unclean spirits. I have an authority over this spirits. I like to call them spirits, shame and unrighteousness, and and all those things, right? I like to call them unclean spirits. So when you take your authority as a believer and cast this unclean, that's the word there, and cast this unclean spirits out of your life, that's a huge component to healing, right? And the last part of healing I would like to talk about is receiving love. The truth is that love is the healing balm for emotional wound, because emotional wound generally is lack of love. It's the lack of love that causes emotional wounds. It's the lack of love. Is we not receiving love as we should receive love? Is others not giving us the love that we expected them to give us? Is we not giving out love to others as we expected them? So that's what really hurts us, right? It's the lack of love that really hurts us. And so the ultimate balm to healing is love. It's love. So when we receive love, we heal. But the thing is this, there's so much talk on self-love, but the problem is this: if you don't have love in you, you can't even give yourself the self-love. So self-love is not just you going to the spa and having a good meal or taking care of your body. That's just a tiny bit part of it, right? The real self-love is you. It's you having love in yourself to give yourself, right? And so when we say love, emotional wound is a lack of love, it's many times we don't even have the love in yourself to give yourself. That's the point. Many times we don't even have the love in ourselves to give ourselves. And this is where this is where we receive love from others. We receive love. We fill up our love tank, right? This is where we fill up our love tanks. But the problem is this: where do you get this love to fill up your love tank so that you can completely be healed? I don't know if there's any place to sell love. Many times the people around us don't even have the capacity to give us this love that could really suit us and heal us completely. So many times people around us may not even know that they need to fill you up with love. And you can't just be this needy person moving around and say, oh, I need love, fill me up, I'll fill my tank with love. It doesn't work like that. But there's somewhere you can always go and receive love. And this is why I talk about the Heavenly Father's love. And that is the love that heals us completely and truly. Like the love of the Father, the love of God. That's the love that completely heals us, completely. Because this love does not judge us. It doesn't judge us like this is what you did and this is what you did, and it doesn't resent. It doesn't judge us. It doesn't count us as unworthy. And so the healing balm, and this is why I like to introduce women to the love of the Father. That's the love that is complete. That's the love that is full, and that is the love that can completely heal us. And so what you learn to do is to receive the love of the Father. Is to receive the love of the Father. And it's so simple to really do receive it. It's just one of the things I like to do is, I usually like to say to myself is, I receive the love of the Father. It's just as easy as that. Just say, Lord, I receive your love. I receive the love of the Father. I receive the love of the Father. Receive the love of the Father. You could put your hand on your chest as often as you can and just receive his love, and just say, I receive the love of the Father, until this love becomes so real to you. Right? And you just keep doing that to yourself. I receive the love. As often as you remember, say, I receive the love of the Father. Fill me, Father, with your love. Fill me, Father, with your love. And it's when this love tank of yours is really full, right? When there's something in it, that you can now be able to love yourself fully and deeply as you should love yourself. So 3 basic key points to healing is number one is self-awareness, you being aware that you're broken and there's something needs to be done about it. And number two is forgiveness. The forgiveness component is a huge part of it. Like, you can't truly heal without forgiveness. So the third one is deliverance. The third one is deliverance. And the fourth one is receiving the love of the Father. Is love, and is receiving the love of the Father into your heart. And that's the love, that's the ultimate love that can heal you completely. If you're a woman, I invite you to join the Wise Woman Experience community, where I send you resources for your healing, for self-leadership, and to build thriving relationship. I'll see you next time. Bye.